Sri Advaita, Sri Avadhuta. I just said this a half an hour ago. Please speak up. Sri Advaita, Sri Avadhuta, Parijana Sahitang, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devang, Sri Radha, Krishna Padan, Sahagana Lalita, Sri Vishakhan Vitang, Cha. He Krishna, Karana Sindho, Dina Bandho, Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostate, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Rishabhanu Sute Devi, Pramami Huripriye, Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyashta Kripa Sindhupya Evacha, Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Radha Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So excuse me for the senior moments. I'm always telling people that after 5 I'm not as sharp as I am in the morning. So I'd like to start by talking about Rupa-vilas's books. Rupa-vilas specializes in Acharyas, the recent Acharyas. Oh, Haribol, Apurva, he's my old friend. This is Apurva Prabhu. He's an expert in cooking large quantities of prasadam for large quantities of people. And for many decades, he's been known throughout ISKCON to be an expert in doing this. Not just expert cook, but expert in cooking for cooking large quantities for a big feast. They sent for him, I don't know about nowadays, but in the old days, temple presidents would send for him for Rath Yatras and for other big festivals, and he would fly in and organize everything. So, Rupa-vilas's books, this is Without Fear. This is about Srila Prabhupada. And of course there are many biographies of Prabhupada, and Rupa-vilas will talk more about this. But we highly recommend that, both of us, highly recommend that everyone should at least read one of Prabhupada's biographies. There are many by Satsarup Maharaj, Prabhupada Lilamrita, there's Hari Sori, who's written Transcendental Diary, there's recently Shamsundar Prabhu has written Chasing the Rhinos, yes. There are many that some you may not have even heard of. There's smaller books, but different devotees have written. So this is a wonderful book, very well researched. It's a nice book. We have a few available here. And this is another book he's written, Babaji Maharaj. One of the reasons I'm giving this introduction is that I basically tried to organize this little tour for us, and I made a mistake, and we only have one of these left for here. We previously sold out. We weren't anticipating so much enthusiasm for this. Now, Babaji Maharaj, before I auction this one left off, no, I'm kidding. I'll tell you how you can get more. But Babaji Maharaj is about two Babajis. It's about Gaurkishore Das Babaji, who's in our line. We're talking about our line of gurus. Now, our line of gurus goes back many thousands of years to Sri Krishna himself. So, but recently there's Srila Prabhupada. He's our guru for everyone. Some of his disciples are also gurus, and so my friend Avadhuta, for example, is initiated by one of Prabhupada's disciples, Vaisheshika Prabhu. So there are many gurus. This prayer that I said actually offered obeisances to all of the gurus. Before Prabhupada is the picture behind him, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as Bhakti Siddhanta. He's the next guru in the line after Prabhupada. Then there's Gorkishore Das Babaji is one of these Babajis. There are two mentioned here. So Gorkishore Das Babaji, and then there's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then Jagannath Das Babaji. So the second, so two Babajis, very renounced people, and I won't say much more because Rupa-vilas will tell you. And now, what shall we do? We only have one of these, but we have a lot of these, so no problem. You can get some of these after the talk. But one of these, so one lucky person will get that book. But you can either order it on Amazon, or you can order it through us. You can give us the money, and we'll give us your address, and we'll send it to you, guaranteed. And that's basically how you can get it. And what I'm going to speak about, just very briefly, my specialty is Vedic culture and the environment. A little different from Rupa-vilas's topic. Vedic culture and the environment. Now, you've all heard about sort of political and technological solutions to environmental problems. You have to put those aside just for now. Put them completely aside. There's a mantra of reduce, recycle, and reuse. So let's just put those ideas aside and put all the politics, the whatever they are, COP 29 or COP this, COP that, the different conferences, or not exactly conferences, but the different political leaders, they gather together and try to reduce emissions or try to reduce fossil fuels. And so put all of that aside. Those are all experimental. None of them have been proven to work on a large scale. Vedic culture is a large-scale culture. It has lasted for thousands of years. And we can argue that there are 1 billion people currently in modern Vedic culture. Now, there are many issues with that culture, the modern Vedic culture, because primarily the issues are because of the imposition of modern, let's say, European culture, which is spread throughout the world. Now, European culture is based on consumption. It's based on the consumption or the exploitation of natural resources. 1,000 years ago in Europe, there was a huge interest in expanding the trade with the world. So over the years, hundreds of years, Europeans went around the world and they collected natural resources in many ways. They established, just one, for example, tea plantations, huge tea plantations. So this is unnatural. Actually, the traditional agrarian culture is to have local produce, villages produce for themselves, everything, food, cloth, shelter, and then villages have extra they supply to the cities. Not that the whole world is covered by cities, and then the agriculture is based on exploitation of the planet, destroying the land, the water, the seas. So this is not the proper way to manage the earth and the humanity's relationship with nature. So it's out of balance. So I'm giving this book for free. Again, I haven't managed properly. I only have about, 7 copies here. So 7 lucky people are going to get these free. But those who want it, aside from those 7, can give me your address, and I will send it to you free at your home. Or I have a PDF copy. You can give me your email, I'll send you that. So in this book, I'm just going to tell this briefly because I want to hear from Rupa-vilas about the Acharyas. So in this book, it begins with the concept that the root problem that we're faced with, it's called the solution to society's imbalance with nature. So the root problem for this imbalance is overconsumption. Now, over-consuming natural resources, as I said, it's basically a European legacy, that Europeans wanted to have more, and this is not my invention. Srila Prabhupada also was talking about this, that Europeans wanted to have more, so they went out and they conquered the Americas and the North and South Americas and the India and Asia and Africa and I'm sorry, is there anywhere else they haven't conquered? Anyway, so, and a lot of us here are descended from those Europeans in one way or another. So, and then in about the 1920s, as a result from the developing economy in this country, consumer economy started to blossom. And then in for various reasons, there are some interruptions, and then in the 50s and 60s, the consumer economy grew, and then in the 70s, beginning from the 70s, consumption became overconsumption. And since the 70s, that overconsumption is really depleting the Earth's resources. It's creating too much waste, much too much waste for the Earth to regenerate, to accommodate. Too much pollution. So all of these things come from overconsumption. So what is the solution to that overconsumption? So I'll say boldly, overconsumption is a polite term. The moral term, or the term we find in the Bhagavad Gita, is greed. Now in the Bhagavatam that we study, Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Purana, there's a verse that says, if you're hungry, you can satisfy your hunger by eating. If you're thirsty, by drinking. If you're angry, by expressing your anger and suffering the result. But if you're greedy, the whole world cannot satisfy. Conquering the world, it says in every direction, you'll never satisfy greed. So this is the situation. And to think that the modern culture that created this overconsumption has the means to conquer greed and overconsumption is, it's ridiculous, it's unrealistic. So Vedic culture, which is thousands of years old, has lived in balance with nature for thousands of years. And even in modern times, although Vedic culture is heavily influenced by this modern global culture, which is sort of a child of European culture, even though it's heavily influenced, still, let me tell you very quickly, I don't want to take up too much time actually, there is a metric that says that for each individual we have 1.6 hectares of land. If you take all the world's population, you divide it, and you take all the land in the world that can produce some natural resources and can absorb waste and pollution, there's 1.6 hectares for each and every person in the world. So 1.6 hectares, that's about, I'm approximating, maybe 3.5, 4 acres, something like that. We're familiar with acres here. So we have 4 acres. This is like a sort of a theoretical metric. So that's to be a good world citizen. If we're a good world citizen, we consume and waste based on this. So in America, we're more fortunate. We have 3.6. In Saudi Arabia, they have 0.7. So we're more fortunate. We have 3.6. So we have more than the world average. We consume 7.7, with 7.6. So twice as much as we should. And those in the Vedic culture, Indians and all the people who are everywhere in the world, there's about 100 million people that follow Vedic culture or Sanatan Dharma or Bhagavad Gita, however you like. About 90 million outside. So these people average, some more, some less, about 1.2. So again, 1.2 in Vedic culture, 1.6 as a good citizen. So those in Vedic culture are good world citizens. America has about 3.6 to offer, but people here consume about 7.6, so way above. So overconsumption. People in modern global culture who are influenced by American culture are consuming way too much. So in this book, that's how I start. I start talking about overconsumption. Then I criticize modern global culture for overconsuming and why it's set up in that way. I've described that a little bit. And then I talk about 4 solutions to because this is called the solution. Talk about 4 solutions to this problem. And these are the 4 characteristics of Vedic culture that I find prominent. And I describe them as barriers and paths. So, for example, the first one is that all souls are equal, meaning the life force in everyone, the life essence, the soul is equal in all. There's no plants here, but Tulsi, that's not fair. I can't say that. So I'm equal to everyone here as soul. My soul is equal to everyone here, but my soul is also equal to that dog who's outside, or the tree also. That living soul, that's life, that's living. So all souls are equal. And according to many, that creates a barrier. Cultures that understand that there's soul in nature and that all creatures have souls creates a barrier. There's more of a reluctance to exploit nature if we can see that there's soul in nature. So that's a barrier. And the path is that this concept is a path to Brahman realization, that Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nashochati Nakangshati Samah Sarva Bhuteshu. So Samah Sarva Bhuteshu, this verse from Bhagavad Gita means that one who is on this high Brahma platform, who realizes that everyone is spiritual. I do that often. I wave my hand and it hits the person next to me. I'm sorry. So everyone who realizes, not everyone, but one, the exceptional person who is on this high level, that person, Samah Sarva Bhuteshu, sees all beings as equal. So that's the path. Now I'm going to discuss the next one. So that's 1. 2 is celebration of Leelas. It's actually celebration of Leelas and Namas. So this is a core theme in Vedic culture, that everywhere there's celebration of Leela and Nama. If you see all of the pictures, or nearly all of the pictures that you see on the, and here, this is 10 avatars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 avatars. You can't see back there, but Krishna comes as an avatar, as an incarnation, and he has leelas. Leela means play or drama or pastime. So he has these leelas. And here we see in the middle Chaitanya and Gaura. They have their leela, which is Sankirtan. Their leela is celebrating the leelas. It's an interesting idea. And their leela is chanting the names, which is also celebration of Krishna's names. On the right side is Madan Mohan, yes? And so this is another leela. Krishna comes with his consort, and he celebrates many leelas with his consort. Here's Jagannath, Subhadra, and Baldev, and they also celebrate leelas, many leelas. And you can say this is a leela culture. It's in dance, it's drama, it's in sculpture, it's in the temples, within the temples. I mean, we see that there's all of this within the temples and in the worship, because you see they offer different articles to the deity. So this is kind of leela that's going on, and we're singing. And when we sing, almost everything we sang in these songs, those who are familiar, that you know that almost every single word of the songs is a name for Krishna. So all of these names are celebration of Krishna's names and Krishna's leelas. So this is the culture. I'm not going to go further, but what does that have to do with overconsumption? In the culture, people learn to be satisfied with that simple enjoyment, the enjoyment that leelas produce, that leelas offer. Ram Leela, Krishna Leela. In South India, Narayana, the worship of Sri Vishnu, Narayana. So leelas are the most important part, in my opinion, of this culture. Well, not just my opinion. It's Chaitanya. This is Chaitanya here in the middle. And he came to give us this, or to revitalize this idea of celebration of the holy names. And he was very often absorbed in the leelas. So names and leelas. When one is addicted to something, changing one's enjoyment goes a long way in overcoming that addiction. So this is a society, Hare Krishna. This is a society that is addicted to overconsumption. So how to change that addiction? Learn to enjoy the leelas and to be satisfied with this kind of enjoyment and the names of Krishna. Third and fourth, number 3 is an agrarian economy. Now I discussed the idea of this sort of European idea of, I don't want to blame it entirely on the Europeans. There were many powers that wanted to colonize, the Romans and the Phoenicians, and lots of cultures wanted to colonize. But the Europeans have caused the most trouble, mainly because of the scientific revolution that introduced industry and technology. So industry and technology in the 19th century have really accelerated our facility to overexploit nature and to overconsume. But anyway, I'm digressing. Number 3 is this agrarian economy. I won't go too much into it. And number 4 is that in the Vedic culture, there's a structure that's designed to train and to encourage everyone to tolerate nature and to accept that austerity is a part of life. In the West, or not just West, but around the world in modern global culture, austerity is a dirty word. People don't like that. They talk about, Greece is going to have to introduce austerity measures. And people say, oh no, this is bad, yeah. So no, the Vedic culture, tolerate nature, and this theme of austerity. See, I did very well. I was aiming for 5 o'clock, and it's only 7 minutes after. So this is free, and anyone who's, I don't want to create a rush here. So give me your address, and I'll send you one. And now I turn it over to Rupa-vilas Prabhu to talk about the Acharyas. This is about Prabhupada, and and he's written other books too, not just about these 3 Acharyas. He's written about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, about Namacharya, Haridas Thakur. He's written about a book about Ray of Vishnu, is Bhakti Siddhanta, this picture behind Prabhupada. So that's my introduction to Rupa.
Thank you very much.
And he's my old friend. And if I say anything wrong, he'll let me know after.
And you all will be available so the devotees can come see you after the talk?
Yes.
Okay.
This is yours? No.
Oh, I think you better drink.
There's yours right here.
Oh, okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. I've been developing a bit of a theme. I had a conversation with an old devotee friend. He's not so old, he's a fairly young guy, but experienced devotee. And he proposed this idea to me. He was having a conversation with a rather famous sannyasi. I'm not going to mention the sannyasi's name in case anybody thinks I'm criticizing the sannyasi, which I'm not. But he was having a conversation with him, and he said that his relationship with Prabhupada was formed through Prabhupada's books. As all of you experienced devotees, and maybe probably a lot of you who are maybe not so experienced, Prabhupada is considered to be the Shiksha Guru of this movement, of this ISKCON movement. Not just considered to be, is the Shiksha Guru of this movement. Everything in this movement is based on his teachings, his books, his translations. And so this particular sannyasi was arguing that that's how you form a relationship with Prabhupada. Now, we know that everyone knows that Prabhupada has left this, this material world, apparently. So the message is, well, reach Prabhupada or connect with Prabhupada through his books. So this devotee was hearing this from this sannyasi. And he said, no, I don't think, he said, people become devotees due to relationships. I know that at least personally, I met a really lovely saintly devotee, now more than 50 years ago. And that's why I became one. And what to speak of getting the chance to see and talk to Prabhupada. So his point was, he came to Krishna consciousness because he'd read the Lilamrita first and got the sense of Prabhupada as a person. You know, you don't dedicate yourself necessarily to just a movement or just a philosophy, but it's about who you see as the living embodiment of that philosophy, whose merciful nature and kindness and concern for others is so powerful and overwhelming. That's why you become one. And so he said it's the wrong order. He said first get to know Prabhupada as a person. And when you fully know as much as possible, now this is just one book about Prabhupada. There are so many wonderful books that have been written about him by very experienced devotees. And I think that if you get a real sense of who he was, what he contributed, what kind of difficulties he went through, and how the kind of trust that people invested in Prabhupada, that they were prepared to do anything he asked them. Go to another country, start a temple, like for instance, Dayananda was just a while, kind of got, oh, here's an idea, go start a temple. Well, where should I go? Oh, how about Los Angeles? We haven't got a temple there, you know. And how should I do it? Well, figure it out. That was the mood in those days. You know, figure it out. Just go and do it. One time on a train, Prabhupada had told some of his devotees to go off and start a temple somewhere. Somebody was offering land. He said, okay, just go with them and do something. So that kind of relationship where you're prepared to do anything that someone will ask you, so much trust and so much, not just trust, but so much affection for that person who's guiding you. So his point, this person's friend of mine, to the sannyasi was, no, I think people should start with the biographies and then read Prabhupada's books. He said, so that they get a sense of who Prabhupada is, what he contributed, how he interacted with people, how he, you know, gave his mercy and his blessings and so much, he gave his life. You know, he gave his life to spread this movement. So once you know that person, then whatever they say, you trust and you're prepared to act on their behalf. So after he expressed this to me, I started really thinking about it. Now, for some years, I've been trying to write books about these Acharyas, especially I started with a biography of Bhaktisiddhanta, and then I did one on Bhakti Vinod. Now, both of those are going to be republished, well, at least Bhakti Vinod Thakur, this book I've written called The Seventh Goswami, that is going to be published by BBT, I think this year. So that'll be available. But I started with Raya Vishnu, that they also want to publish that one, but it's a revised and expanded edition. But the point I'm trying to make is, that's where I started. But then a friend of mine in England, he said, well, you're reading all these books about Acharyas, why didn't you write one about Prabhupada? And I was thinking, well, no. I mean, there's already so many. What am I going to contribute? I wasn't one of the major leaders or anything. But he said, no, but everybody has their own unique experience in relation to Prabhupada. So why don't you do that? So then I did do it, and now I guess the theme I'm trying to communicate is, if you want a relationship, not just read the books of Prabhupada or know the philosophy that Prabhupada taught, but if you want to know that person, then you get us more of a sense by reading these different biographies. You know, like I know Shyam Sundar's book is such a personal account of Prabhupada, and then Mukunda Maharaj's book, what was it, Miracle on Second Avenue? Yeah. And there are so many, you know, and if you don't know what they all are, I'm sure you can find out if you talk to some of these nice devotees here. And I think these books are invaluable entry into appreciating Prabhupada as a person. And then when you read his books, you know what the intention, I know intention is a word that gets tossed around kind of in strange ways sometimes, but you know what Prabhupada's intention was by studying his life, that he was trying to save the world, basically. You know, remember that the East Village Other, there was a news that came out with it was East Village Other, Save Earth Now. Right? He's talking about spreading this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. So therefore, and then something else inspired me that, some of you know the songbook, at least the original songbook. Prabhupada wrote a little foreword, because Achyutananda mainly was Achyutananda, who had translated all these songs by the Acharyas. And in the introduction, Prabhupada gave his blessings to him and said that he hoped he would realize that Sankirtan is the safest place in this material world. So I'm basically I'm very happily trying to spend the rest of whatever days I've got left. We're both 79 now. He's a few months younger than me, but but still he's my senior godbrother. But so we've called in this little tour we've done called the 79ers, the 79ers tour. So So my only goal now for the rest of my time is, I've also done this book about Gaurkishore and Jagannath Das Babaji. It's a revision. If some of you've got the old one with the yellow cover, this isn't the same book. This is like about twice as long, with a lot of new information and wonderful stories, mainly by Bhaktisiddhanta, talking about his guru, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, and he talks extensively about him in this book. And these stories in this book, you know, about Prabhupada, many of them are mine, but some of them are others people's stories, or things that Prabhupada said, and what realizations came from reading those things. So I just encourage everyone to find out more about Srila Prabhupada, go deeply into his life and pastimes. And I think that gives you even greater entry into his books, once you know that. So I'm not sure what the schedule is now.
Well, we can have a little discussion. I think they told us 5:30? 5:30, so question and answers. If nobody has any questions.
Well, then I'll tell some stories then.
Sure, we tell stories, and I like to say if nobody has any questions, that means you're fully convinced, and we expect you to be 100% servant now of Krishna. And yes, is that
Somebody's
right?
got their hand up back there.
Isn't that what it works? Oh, you don't want to be then.
Have you got a traveling mic? No?
Yes.
Okay. It's always nice if the questions can be heard, especially, you know, we're a bit deaf.
We're a bit deaf.
That's kind of an, you know, like an understatement that's favorable to us, you see.
I can project my voice.
Okay, go right ahead then.
Go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Do we not have a solution to? Do we not have a solution to the environmental destruction? Are we hopeless? Are we hopeless?
No. Maybe we can put this in the middle, kind of.
Here, I'll just take it out. Hold on.
Take it out.
You want me to take this to her?
No, she's very clear.
This working again, why not?
Hare Krishna.
No, it doesn't work. Just yell.
Hare Krishna. So, do we not have a solution to environmental issues, or is it hopeless? It's not hopeless. It's, first of all, we're just small humans. There's a beautiful verse from the Bhagavatam. This is almost at the end of the Bhagavatam. This verse, it says, oh, this is a little loud and echoey. It says, seeing the people intent on dominating the earth, on dominating her, the earth laughed and retorted, "Ha! These playthings in the hands of death think they can conquer me." So this is a statement, obviously by the earth herself. So whether we create big problems or big solutions, people are always, scientists and politicians think that they can solve these problems, and then here we are presenting our solution. But our solution is basically the Vedic culture. Let's revitalize the Vedic culture. And as far as hopelessness is concerned, no, we depend on Krishna, and we're not hopeless. We also understand that there are many powers that are above us. The earth is a power that's above all of humanity. And that's really one of the problems, that we don't see that we modern people think that we can exploit the earth and fight with the earth and without any reaction. But she's a goddess. The earth is a goddess. She's above us. All of humanity, she's above us. She can do anything she wants. She could say, "Oh, this is too irritating. I think, I think a virus or a pandemic will calm you
Yeah,
people
you
down."
need to have, maybe have more tsunamis and earthquakes and,
Yeah.
floods and.
So she can take care of herself, we don't need to really worry about her, but we need to worry about ourselves. So let's take up Vedic culture. That's the point. We'll worry about ourselves and take up Vedic culture and become servants instead of selfish exploiters. I hope that's an answer. I don't want to take up too much
No,
time.
that's good.
Any more questions? If not, we'll tell some stories. Yes.
Thank you. How do we make austerity popular?
Oh my goodness. How do we make austerity popular? Well, Rupa-vilas Prabhu edits all my books. I've written a few books, and every time I use the word austerity, Rupa-vilas says to me, he makes a comment, that Dayananda, be careful, austerity, people, you can't talk about austerity, this is not,
Don't wanna hear that.
people don't want to hear that, yes. So one of the ways I've solved that is I put it at the end of my book. So the question is, how do we make austerity popular? I don't think it's practical to some of the difficult aspects of Krishna consciousness, we don't introduce them in the beginning. So to make something like that popular is not practical immediately. We can't expect that. So, for example, when Prabhupada was talking, he was, I believe, advising Dayananda Maharaj about teaching in the colleges and presenting Krishna consciousness to college students. He said, don't begin by telling them the 4 principles of no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. Don't begin with that. So we begin with the positive aspects of chanting Hare Krishna and enjoying prasadam that we're going to be doing. There's a joke I just love. It's like when the lecturer keeps going on and on and on. This is in the morning with all the devotees and for the morning class. Then okay, questions, and a few people raise their hands. And then someone in the back says, "Prabhu, what time is prasadam?" But we have 5 minutes here.
Can I just say something? I would say that it's part about becoming popular. I think it becomes popular through experience of the process of following. If you get taste from something else through chanting and through the devotional practices, so you get some taste, then a few austerities is no big deal. Because I know, especially in the beginning of the movement, I was in a temple in Texas, and Prabhupada said, "Oh, go to India, do it there, create a school there. Just go to India and create a school." Well, most people say, "What? No way." But I was thinking, well, he wants it, and I'm happy to go because I loved him and I respected his wishes, and I went and gave it a try. I think that tolerance of austerity is just it's an add-on, and it's hard to explain it to someone who's not performing service in the first place and getting a taste through devotional activity. But I think once you have a taste, then it becomes like no big deal. So I don't know whether you can make it popular by any other means than trying to get them to experience the practices of Krishna consciousness.
I just wanted to add one thing. Even in Vedic culture, it's not exactly popular. There's 4 ashrams in Vedic cultures: brahmachari, grihastas, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. So austerity is not very popular among the grihastas. But the other ashrams, they're meant for cultivating austerity and influencing the grihastas and others. But the point is that the theme of austerity is there, and the cultural structure is there to support austerity. And it's recognized that we humans have this, we have human frailties, and we're not, that's perhaps not our first choice, is to immediately accept austerity. Yeah, this is a long time on one question, one difficult question.
I'm sorry to ask another one, but I have a burning question. Do you know of any scientific evidence or scientific experiments that have been done with the Maha Mantra that have proven that the Maha Mantra is special?
There are some, well, yeah, I'll say first of all that yeah, there's some devotees who try to investigate this. I'm not a, personally, I'm the wrong person to ask about this. I'm not so keen on these kind of scientific comparisons because science is based predominantly on observation and experimentation, and it omits other things that are valuable in life. For example, in a court of law is not based solely on observation and experimentation. There are other, in order to find out whether somebody is guilty or innocent of murder, it's not completely scientific. I don't want to go into too much detail, but that's just one example. Life is not just about science and observation, experimentation. Let's see, we'll take this group and see if they're affected positively or not. And what are we looking for, really? We say that chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare is a Prabhupada describes it as a prayer asking Krishna for service. O Krishna, O Radha, please engage me in your service. So I suppose a scientific observation would be how many people who don't chant Hare Krishna are serving Krishna, as opposed to how many people who are chanting do serve Krishna. That would be our scientific experiment.
But
So-
just a brief, there have been some studies that the effectiveness of the Maha Mantra in people's outlook, well-being,
Yes.
and so forth. There have been such studies, but I think essentially it's experiential.
In the,
You know yourself whether it works or not. You chant, right?
Yes.
So do you think it's effective in your life?
I have felt a radiating warmth after chanting, and I just want to know if it's a frequency scientifically. Like, I want to know, like, what is it?
Well, it's. I don't think you can know it that way, though. That we call that pradyaksha, which means that which we can only observe through the senses. But you know in your own experience what works or for instance, like suppose you've had a big meal, you've eaten a big meal, and then the scientists want to know if you're actually had enough. Well, you yourself know whether you've had enough or not. You're experiencing it. You don't need a certification from them that you've had enough to eat. So I think there's a very much of an experiential movement. That we ask people, chant Hare Krishna, just try it. And they start to feel happier, they start to feel more balanced, mentally, perhaps even physically, psychologically. And then what are you going to say? Well, are you sure it's scientific? And they're going to say, I don't care. It's working for me. And I think that's the short answer to a long question. Yeah. some people may think that's fanatical, it's certainly true, we believe that, but, you know, sometimes, yeah. Oh, okay.
Or questions?
Anything else? I know it's getting closer to,
Anyone in the back want to know what time prasadam is?
Yeah, I just want to hear you speaking. Curious about yourself.
you have one?
You want to know what time prasadam is?
Real quick, did you bring your books to sell?
Yeah,
Yes.
he talked about that. We're gonna try
Yeah,
to push
yeah,
them if we get
and
a
we have a
moment here.
few,
We saw
there's
it
some
by
other
ourselves.
ones which we may try to, before we go to Haridas's tomorrow afternoon or evening, whatever it turns out to be, we can possibly
No.
drop off some,
No.
but I have got,
They're all-
quite a few copies.
They're all sold.
They're all sold? Did you find out?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. I've got some copies of the Without Fear, the book about Prabhupada, so anybody who's interested, anyone who's interested can get some from me now. Okay?
His Grace Dayananda Prabhu, His Grace Rupa-vilas Prabhu ki. I'm going to add one quick thing to the austerity question. I heard Prabhupada say this once too. Actually, it's only an austerity because we don't have love. So as the love increases, it's not austere anymore, right? Just like a mother taking care of the child. Is it an austerity for the mother? Everybody else it is, right? Make him stop, I gotta go to work tomorrow. Even the husband, he's crying too much. But the mother is, oh, my baby, my baby. So by performing that austerity, your love awakens. So it's just a little austerity. What's the austerity? Chant Hare Krishna. Take prasadam. What's austere about that, right? It tastes good too, doesn't it? Okay. So he has how many books? Just a handful over here? I think what we do, because we're going to have to make some announcements and some other things, and if you all get up and come and get them now to make you sit back down, it's going to be a little difficult. So Veda Sar is our temple president. He's going to make a couple little announcements, and you're going to sing mini artik? And after the mini artik, you all stay here, and you better be quick because the books will be gone. So, okay. I already got this one. We can even auction this one if you want at that time. Okay? So let's give Prabhu's another nice round of welcome. And we also want to welcome some other Prabhupada disciples here. Apurva Prabhu, most famous for his cooking, of course. I don't know, maybe one of these, it'd be nice. Can you do it again? Cook a Sunday feast for us once? I know days are probably long gone. Huh? And his wife, I forgot your name, please. Amelina. So let's give them a nice welcome. Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you again for those of you who arrived late and missed the nectar, the initial part of the nectar. The nectar will continue to flow when you leave the temple with the books that they have spent time pouring it into. So I'd like to request Urmila Devi and family to please come forward to perform Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki jai. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,